end of the hour, you accompany the deaf person. Now knowing it's the end of the hour, we've already been there, so I can't not, so that completely negates the other stuff that I just said. I can't not accept the assignment because I've already accepted the assignment, I'm already there. Okay, I'm there, I'm done, it's over, we're signing out, figuring out a time, he wants to go see me. I think I would sort of ask that question again, try to, and this is just my thought, try to not go with him by ourselves while the deaf person's still there. If once we're all said and done, the assignment is over, the deaf person walks away, has left, and the therapist has to ask any additional questions. And depending on what those questions are, will determine how and what I would answer. But I would feel a little bit leery, the same reasons as before, as to going away off to the side with the therapist alone while the deaf person is still there. Like I was saying, all those thoughts going through the deaf person's mind as far as, why is my interpreting therapist speaking alone? Segment 3. A few weeks later, the deaf person is scheduled to join an ongoing group therapy session, and you have been asked to interpret. You have been told that the group consists of the therapist plus additional 12 men who are undergoing court-ordered treatments for sexual abuse of children. The group has been in session for a few months, and it is common for new people to join the group as others leave. You have arranged for a colleague to interpret with you, since you suspect this will be more demanding than one-on-one counseling. About 30 minutes before the session is to begin, you receive a page from your colleague saying that she has been involved in a car accident. She's suffered only minor injuries, but has been taken to the hospital for x-rays as a precautionary measure. Thus, she will be unable to interpret the group counseling session. She has been placed on call for a referral agent, but they have not been able to locate a replacement. You too contact the agency to confirm that they have no one available on such short notice. What do you do and why? I'm just rereading it to make sure I'm reading it correctly. Well, out of the short time constraints, 30 minutes before the session's actually going to begin, my initial thoughts is, how long is the session? Is it a 4-hour session? If it's, that long, well, obviously, I don't know. I don't know if you could say that, okay, I just can't do it. It may be more strenuous, it may be more stressful, and maybe that's something that I would explain to the deaf person, that, I was supposed to have some team support here to be able to bounce ideas off of. If it's a long interpreting session, explain the whole fatigue, just the whole issue of not being able to process all that information for that amount of time. But personally, I don't see any other issues besides the length, the amount of conversation. If there's no uncomfortableness, because obviously you've already done one-on-one sessions, so you already have sort of background knowledge and understanding about how these sessions are operated and the conducting of these therapy sessions. So what would I do and why? I would just explain to them, hey, I had a colleague who was supposed to come or unable to come. We've contacted the agency. She's contacted the agency. They have set nobody here. I'm more than willing to go ahead and interpret for you. Just know if it gets, too long, I'm going to get tired. My brain's going to hurt. Other than that, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head or a reason as to why I wouldn't interpret it. Segment number 4, and I am almost up to my 15 minutes. But anyway, you decide that you really have no other viable option than to explain the situation to the therapist and let him determine whether or not to proceed in certain circumstances. I don't know if I would have did that, but okay. He tells you that this is a crucial juncture in the deaf person's therapeutic program and insists that the session go on as scheduled. During the session, you struggle a few times, particularly at some of the graphic fantasies described by a couple of the members of the group. And see, that's what I was saying. Me, thinking 10 pages back, I probably wouldn't have accepted an assignment such as this just for the nature of the whole sexual abuse. So it's sort of weird explaining what I would do in the situation, because me personally, I wouldn't even put myself in the situation. So I don't know, it's kind of weird being forced to decide on something that you probably wouldn't have decided to be a part of. But that's just my opinion, so I guess I gotta go with the assignment, right? Nevertheless, you leave the session feeling that under the circumstances, this person was not disadvantaged, and apart from your own uneasiness of working in the situation alone, you feel that the session is generally quite successful. However, you begin to realize that these ongoing assignments begin to affect you emotionally. You're definitely not looking forward to the group session next week, especially after graphic description. Do you interpret this week? What do you do and why? At this point, since I've already accepted it and now I'm feeling completely uneasy, you're to the point, if you were successful in that time frame and you were successful in that moment, you were as effective as you could possibly be, and the deaf person got what they needed, then obviously you've done your job. Now, from this point forward, maybe you should get someone else to, replace you. Maybe you should not continue. And I'm saying maybe you because I can't, all right, maybe I. Putting myself there. But yeah, the graphic nature, the graphic fantasies, just all that stuff, I wouldn't have not have wanted to be involved in. However, I'm the type of person, despite my own bias and my own prejudice and my own feelings about anything, if I'm in that interpreting moment at that time, then that's what I need to convey. That's my mindset, that's my focus, to be as effective in that moment, despite anything inside. So upon seeing what this assignment was going to be about, I probably wouldn't even be 4 pages into it, because I would have, walked away or declined the assignment beforehand. However, let's, say I didn't know, I'm here now, well, what are we going to do? So, going back to this question, next week you're not feeling comfortable, you really don't want to go interpret, well then I think you need to pass on that assignment to someone else and not continue to go, especially if it's causing you emotional distress, because that's only going to affect your interpretation in that moment for that therapist and for that deaf client, and therefore it's going to affect everyone. A few days later, a friend of yours asks you to interpret a Cub Scout den meeting. Your friend's deaf son and another deaf boy belong to the Cub Scout den based on a local school they attend. Uh-oh. I can only imagine where this one's going. However, they want to attend the upcoming regional